Excursus, the problem of evil. One of the more common challenges to Christian faith that gets brought up is the so-called problem of evil. One common form of the problem is, if God is all good and God is all powerful, why is there evil in the world? It also shows up in different ways in the question, why do bad things happen to good people? It is highly significant that the author classically cited for the problem of evil is Epicurus, a Greek philosopher who lived in the 4th and 3rd centuries BC. The reason why this is significant is because he is not raising the question against a distinctly Christian understanding of God, and indeed not even a Jewish conception of God rooted in the Old Testament, but the one God of the ancient Greek philosophers. There have been many classic answers to the problem of evil. A stereotypically conservative answer is along the lines that God is all good and all powerful, and so everything that happens comes from the hand of God and is good, regardless of what someone may think of it. A stereotypically liberal answer comes most famously from Leibniz and his best of all possible worlds theory. The argument is that everything that happens is either so that something better can happen to you that would have been able to happen otherwise, or that something better could happen on a larger scale. Everything is for the best. In more recent years, in an attempt to preserve God's goodness, some have given up the omnipotence of God. According to this view, God is simply not all-powerful and is doing just the best God can, just like us. Though this solves the problem of evil, it leaves us with a God who is not only not all that powerful, so we must wonder why we should care to follow him at all, but who bears no real relation to the God portrayed in the Bible. In the light of the discussion so far, it should be clear that the classic problem of evil does not apply to the God worshipped in Christian faith. The argument presupposes that we know what God's goodness and power are, and that we understand the seriousness of evil. In the light of Christ, we realize that the question as it is posed does not understand any one of the three. God's goodness is not an abstract goodness, nor is it nothing more than the absence of suffering, as Epicurus taught. Rather, it is a goodness that lays down its life for others. God's power is not a power of brute force, but the power of overcoming death through resurrection. Evil is not something that can be adequately dealt with by nothing more than a divine snap of the fingers, but requires the Son of God to become a human being, suffer, and die in order to wrench humanity out of its clutches. Whatever challenges can be raised against Christian faith, the problem of evil is not one of them. More could be said on this topic, but for the sake of brevity, we must content ourselves with what has been said so far.